Well, at last I'm actually going to get down to doing some crochet. I have been doing crochet, but that is for a separate project completely to my YouTube, so I can't really put that on. So I have been crocheting, but not for the channel. But we have Easter coming up and I need to do some little cream egg covers, I thought. And this, I hope you're going to like him, is what I did. I'm not quite sure how you can see him. Can you see? You've got a little tail at the back there. We have a little parrot, and yes, he holds a cream egg. Of course, it doesn't have to be a cream egg. I know my son doesn't like cream eggs, but you can get caramel ones, you can get Lindor, you can get so many brands of chocolates in a egg. Get supermarket brands. So whatever sort of egg you like, it makes a really cute little gift. And he does quite stand nicely on his own without the egg as well. So this is what we're going to do. There's lots of little pieces to him, but each little piece only takes sort of a moment or two. It doesn't take a long time. And again, you can choose what colours you want. These are just the colours I did. Perhaps if you've got your own parrot, you can work along those colour schemes as well. But I'm not quite sure 100% how well you can see him. I'm quite pleased with him. Fiddly sewing up, that's the only thing I will warn you. If you don't enjoy your sewing up, sorry. But it's not that bad. It really isn't. So we're going to have a go at him. It's going to be top down, obviously. And we'll have a go at making a little Easter treat. And hopefully it'll make somebody smile when you make it. So I'll see you in a second. Hi, we're going to be starting on our little cream egg parrot. So obviously we've got the cream egg in there. And I think he's quite cute. I'm quite pleased with him. He stands well without the treat in it. So even if you've eaten it, you can still have him sat on the side quite nicely. Again, do any colours. I've got these 4 colours here I decided to use. Now they are double knit yarns. I'm also using a 3mm crochet hook. Apologies for my hands. They're a little bit peely at the moment. It's a dermatitis, and unfortunately I can't do anything about it until they've decided they're going to finish peeling. But anyway, hopefully that doesn't upset anyone. I have some little beads here, which I've done for his eyes. But again, remember the age group that's going to get this. If it's going to be a gift for somebody a lot younger, this might not be a good idea. I would embroider the details on instead. So please make sure you are safe when you're working with things like this. I have some needles. I have a little stitch marker, and I think that's everything really. Obviously I have a cream egg in there. Oh, nearly lost the little eyes. So I'm going to pop this little bag to one side because we don't need that. That's just sewing cotton to sew the eyes on if you're doing beads. We don't need the scissors. We don't need that just yet, or the stitch marker. And we don't need any of these 3 here. We're going to start with the red. So I'm going to pop them to one side as well. Now, don't forget, I'm working with UK terms. So if you do need a conversion chart, you might need to grab one now. I know sometimes when you get used to it, it's not so bad. But sometimes it's amazing how you slip back to what you know rather than what the actual country of origin from the pattern is. So you do have to watch for that. So I'm going to slip the egg out. This egg has been used a bit. It's got a flat side now, so it's always good to have a practice egg for you making, and then one to actually pop in for the gift. So we're going to sit him there because look, he sits quite nicely, doesn't he? He's quite cute there. You could always pop a bit of stuff in if you wanted to. So let's get going. He is an amigurumi style parrot. So it's quite simple. So lots of little bits, which you need it. You need the detail for parrots. You don't really have the choice. So we're going to get started with our slip knot. And we're going to pop it onto the hook, not too tight. We're going to do our 2 chain like I always start my amigurumi. So there's our 2 chain. And I think, shall I bring the camera a little bit closer? So bear with me, see if this works. Yay, I think that's a little bit clearer, isn't it? Red's a bit of a nightmare anyway to show. So into that first chain, you're going to do 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now into each of those 6, you're going to do 2 double crochets. So we're going to be doubling it up, so we'll have 12 stitches there. So here we go. Into the first one, make sure you pick up both parts of the stitch. We're going to do 2 double crochets. In number 2, 2 double crochets. Into number 3, the same. Into number 4. number 5, and just one more, number 6. We now have 12 stitches. Just tightening up that centre part there. Make sure we're ready for the next round. Now we're going to have another increase round, but this is the one where we're doing it in sort of little groups. So you're going to have 2 in the first one, but then you're going to have 1, 2 and 3. That is a set, and you're going to do that 3 times. So here we go. For set number 1, you have 2 in that first stitch, and then you're going to have 1, 2 and 3. So that's our first set done. Second set, 2 in the first one, and then 1, 2 and 3. That's our second set. Third set, 2 in the first one, and then 3 individuals. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, we should now have 15 stitches. So we're going to do one round of just 1 double crochet in each one. So as we know, we've got 15 stitches there. If you want to check at this point, please do, but we're going to count 15 around. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe pull a bit of yarn out there, 12, 12, 12, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So you can see how we're getting the point of the egg started, or the top of the head of our little parrot here. Now we're now going to do another increase round because we want 18 stitches. So you're going to do 2 in the first one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 this time. Okay, so we're going to have 2 in there, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's our first set. 2 in the next one, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's our second set done. Third set, last set. 2 in the first one, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've definitely got that nice head shape coming. We're now going to do just 2 more rounds in the red. So I'm going to grab my stitch marker. I have a little birdie one here, so I'm going to pop that one on. Thought it was related with it being a little parrot, a little bird in a cage. I'm going to stop a second. I'm going to show you something. My daughter has created these really cute designs. Can you see them? Are they not just the cutest? Now these we've turned into stitch markers, and I'm going to be putting them on my website, and she's also going to be putting them on her Etsy. I'm not sure whether I'm putting them on Etsy or the website yet. I've not decided. They can be bought individually, and they're quite nice because we've got a nice size sort of clasp there. So like you see, we've got a little clasp. So if that's something you're interested in, you can let me know and I can send you the links. But they will be going up there. But we've got these little girls. We've got like a little deer here. We have a little bunny, and we have a little fox. These are all her own designs. So I'm hoping to do some needle minders as well to hold my needles at some point. But at the moment, this is what we have, and I'm really pleased with them. She's done some others as well. There's a ladybird one. Love the ladybird, but we're not going to do them just yet. We're going to trial these out first. So if it is something you're interested in, just let me know, and I can send you a message on where you can find them. So I'm going to pop that over there. Totally sidetracked there. And we're now going to do these 2 more rounds of just 1 double crochet into each of these stitches, and we can just follow stitch marker to stitch marker at this point. We don't need to sort of overly sort of worry about that. So round we go. Of course, depending what colours, I mean, you could do them stripy if you wanted to. Obviously these stitch rounds are exactly the same. You can just change your colours when you want, or if you've got a nice variegated yarn, even would look quite cute. I will get the pattern made for him. The aim is I will try and get the pattern out at exactly the same time as the video. Apologies if I don't, so don't go over to the site and go, oh, she's not doing it, because I am doing it. I just might be a little bit delayed, that's all. Right, let me get my pen going. I always try to see this pen, it's gorgeous, but I keep trying to use the wrong end. because it's a propelling pen. So there we go. So that's one round. Second round in the red, and then we're going to be fastening off the red and moving on to the green. So it's quite a quick little project, quite a cute little gift, a little Easter gift. He would make a chicken as well, actually, because when I'd finished him, I said to my husband, I says, does it look like a chicken or a parrot? And he said parrot. I think the colours probably shout parrot, don't they? But it could be a little cockerel, couldn't it? A very brightly coloured cockerel. Almost there. So that's my last stitch in the red, and I'm going to do a slip stitch because I'm actually going to fasten off. You change your yarn however it suits you. I'm constantly changing ways of doing it, but I seem to quite like this one at the moment. So I fasten off. I'm going to take the stitch marker out, so I don't need it for a moment. And red can go to one side, and I'm pulling in my green. These are all Stylecraft yarns. They have a great colour selection. That's why I quite like their yarns. So over we go onto my hand. Now this is how I've been doing it lately. It's not right, it's not wrong. Everybody does it differently, so you can choose how you want. So that's where I've just fastened off. So I'm just going along a couple of stitches. I'll go in there, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. I'm going to do a chain, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in there. Well, I will if I don't drop it. A double crochet into the same stitch. And then I'm just going to pick up all the stitches and work all the way around. Now, if you want to hold this and sort of catch these in at the same time, you can do, or you can just sew them in at the end. I'm going to catch them in because then I can get them out of the way to show you guys the next part, because you don't need to see me sewing everything in. But if you're doing that, you've got to really line them up. Sometimes it's awkward, but with something like this, it doesn't take long to catch it up. So you'll see the green, so we don't need the stitch marker at the moment. We can definitely see where we started. Oh, the light just dropped then. I hope it's not dropped. Oh, that's why I say I looked up then at the camera rather than what I was doing. Ended up picking up the wrong stitch. So be careful when you're doing that. Keep it behind, but definitely pick it up. You see how I picked them both up. If it is, like I say, if it does annoy you, just sew your ends in as you go, and then they're not in the way at all. I'm going to keep giving that a little stretch. Right, I'm actually, because I'm 3/4 of the way around now, I'm going to get rid of these because they've threaded all the way through there, so it should be enough to hold. But so if you're not happy with that, just thread it in the normal way. So we're almost round to our green again, and I'll show you how it works for me for the join then. So that would be the last stitch, and this was the first one where I did the chain and then a double crochet. So I'm just going to go into there, and that's what my join then looks like, and I think that's quite neat. I'm quite pleased with that. So this is what I'm sticking to at the moment. I might find a different method later, or somebody might know of a better method. So there's always new ones to learn, always new, and I'm always willing to have a go. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker back in. So that was our first round in green, but we actually need 7 in total. Also, depending on your tension, we'll try on the egg and have a look at that. So I'm just writing down, so I'm trying to write with wrong end of pen again. I'm trying to write down I want 7. I've actually already done the first one. Let me move that red out of the way, and let's get going. Now you saw me sort of stretching like that. Sometimes crochet sort of like really gets quite tight, and it sometimes just needs that little bit of a stretch to make sure it's sort of flat. So that's why I did that, that's all. So I'm off now with my second round of green. If you want to sort of pause me and do your colour now, or if you're just watching me, hello, I will keep chatting. If you're a beginner, remember, if you do need to slow it down, you can slow it down in the settings. Or I find if I'm learning something new, the stop pause method works best for me. So I will sort of watch what someone's doing, then I might stop it, then I might go back to it, and keep sort of looking at what's happening. Or if I'm working with them, I'll just pause it, do my little bit, then go back to whatever they're doing. And I find that works best for me. But we've all got different methods of how we learn. Now this is where we've got to be careful. We need to make sure we get the right bit. There we are. So mark that one down. That's round 2 of our green. There's 7 in total. My pen's just rolled into sight now. After this one, I think we're going to try it on the egg and have a little look how we're going. My tension's somewhere middling. I used to be very, very tight with my crochet, which was sometimes difficult, especially if you're trying to follow somebody else's pattern. But I think I've sort of relaxed off quite a bit now. It comes with practice. You'll find your tension over the years will change. Definitely changes from when you're a beginner. One more there. So that is 3 rounds, but we're going to try. Can you see how that join is quite good? I'm quite pleased with that join, how it works. So on we go. That's looking okay to me. We've got a nice sort of eggy shape. Right, round 4. Oh, my egg's rolling away. Good job it's got that flat bit, because it rolls to the flat bit and then doesn't go anywhere else. Been a little bit behind on my crochet recently. I've got so much to do, so many ideas, and I've written so many things down. But because I'm working on other projects at the same time, unfortunately, I've fallen behind. And obviously, after not being well, I've fallen behind as well. But I'm still working on a book with Search Press. Can't give you any more details than that because it won't be out this year. There's lots of work to do on that, so I'm doing lots of crochet for that at the moment. So I'm sort of trying to juggle sort of with all of it. So that's round 4, round 5 coming up. Obviously, the nearer the time the book is sorted, or when I can give out information, you will all find out. I'm so excited. Oh, nearly missed it. Seem to have picked up a little piece of red fluff there. It'll be okay. As soon as you've done this main body, the rest, the light is definitely weird. I have a strong light overhead, so I'm hoping it's okay. It might be just the lights reflecting on the top of my phone, so you guys might be able to see it nice and clear. I really do hope so. That's round 5. We just have 2 more to go, and then we will check the measurements, because as I mentioned in tension, sometimes if you're a little bit tight, you might need an extra round. If your sort of work is a little bit looser, you might not need an extra round. You might need less. So it's always good to keep checking, especially as you get towards the end of that. I know I need 7 minimum. It's weird. I make something like my example piece, and then when I make the second one, again, as I'm mentioning with tension, there's a slight difference. My sort of practice piece, or my, I can't think of the right word for it, example piece, perhaps I'll say, is always slightly different from the second one I do. It's like if I do a granny square, or I'm doing a new design for a granny square, when I do the second one, it's always different. From then on, they stay consistent, but to that, the first one's always very, very fractionally different. So my last round as far as my count is concerned, and then we're going to put it on the egg. So this is round 7 of the green. Nearly there, counting down. I just realised I should have really brought myself a glass of water. I say I am sort of better now, but it has left me with sort of a bit of an uncomfortable throat, whatever the virus was. Right, I'm going to say that is it. That is round 7. I'm going to try it on my egg before I fasten it off. Right, let's see. Now, and one of the tests for this is if you put the egg down, you can stretch this. Remember, it's yarn. It will stretch the more you take it on and off. And it needs to hold up. Yep, so the base sort of needs to be flat, because if this bit's sticking out too much, it's going to roll about. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to actually fasten that off now, and I usually fasten off with a slip stitch first. And then my scissors need sharpening. And there we go. I'm going to take my stitch marker out and pop it over there. So that is the body of our little parrot. Now his little feet are what I'm going to move on to next, because these are actually crocheted onto him. I've not sewn the feet on. So we're going to change the yarn over. We won't need the green again, so we'll pop that over there. And I'm going to grab this yellow. It's a very sunny yellow, this. I think it's a really nice one. And basically, decide where his feet are going to go. Well, let's push that one in there. We don't need that. In fact, we'll push that one in for now. Ideally, sew these in, and then they're out of your way when you're doing your other work. But for now, I'm just going to pop them in. So I'm going to say that's the back, and this is the front. So I'm going to go about there, and I'm going to pop my hook in, grab my yarn, and I'm going to pull it through, do a chain, and do a double crochet. That anchors it into place there. Okay. Now from there, I'm going to do, let me double check what I did do. I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to double crochet back into the same hole. Yep. Then I'm going to double crochet into the next one. I'm going to do 3, 1, 2, and 3, and double crochet back into the same hole. I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to double crochet back into the same hole, and that's it. That's 1 foot done. That was nice and quick, wasn't it? Fasten it off. They said there's lots of fastenings off, I'm afraid. Apologies. Right, we're going to miss 2 stitches. So 1, 2, I'm going to put my hook into the 3rd, and we're going to do the same again because he needs 2 feet, doesn't he? Bless him. Right, so pull it through, do a chain, do a double crochet, holds it into place. 3 chain, 1, 2, and 3, and back in to the same hole. Into the next one, double crochet, 3 chain, 1, 2, and 3, and back into the same hole. We need 1 more, so into the next one, pull it through, double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, back double crochet into the same hole, and finish. And we've done our feet. At least you don't have to sew the feet on. A few ends to sew in, but not actually having to sew it up. So you can see how we get these little feet. Now, when you do sew the ends in, that pulls together a little bit better. So it looks a bit weird like that, doesn't it? Bless him. So I'm going to pop that to one side because we've got other parts to do. So while we've got the yellow yarn, we might as well go with all the yellow parts. So I'm going to have to turn that over. Now, the beak is probably the fiddliest bit. So again, onto the hook, it is an amigurumi beak, so we do 2 chain, but we're only going to do 3 into this first one. This is the fiddly bit. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now like I said, this is, I hate this bit. When you get past it, it's okay, but we're basically going to do just 2 in the first one, and then 1 and 1, because there's only 3 stitches there. So we do 2 stitches into our first one, and that's our 2. Yep, that's 2 into the first one, and then we're going to do a 1 and a 1. You get past the first bit and it gets a bit easier, but can you see what it does? It folds up on itself and it's really irritating, but we need a point to that beak, so we don't have much choice. So if you can, try and wiggle it so it turns it to the right side and you can see your stitches better, because the next round you're going to do 2 in the first one, 1 in the following one. So we're increasing, and you're doing that twice. So you're going to do 2 in your first one, 1 in your second one. You're going to do 2, make sure you get the right part to stitch, in the next one, and you're going to do 1 in the next one. And that is it. That gives you, oh, don't drop your stitch like I've just done. Let me take that one out. Let's always take it out. If it starts to do that, take it out and do it again. So that's a 1 anyway. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch because I always finish with a slip stitch. That's it. That's the beak. So that took minutes. A little bit fiddly and just getting into place there. It can be a little bit annoying. pull that tight and turn it the right way. Use something to sort of push it through that's not going to damage, so you get a little beak like that. So we'll pop his beak to one side. The next one is the sort of little sort of comb, or sort of, I don't know what you call it, little top knot he's got there. So again, we're using the yellow. Slip knot even onto the hook, and you're going to make 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now into the first chain you're going to be doing, well, into all of the chain you're going to be doing a double crochet, but because we want 6 chain, I need to do another chain, which is a turning chain. So you're not working into this one, you're working the second one along, and we need 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You do need the 6 to get this shape, so make sure just give it a little stretch to flatten it out a bit. We're now going to do 3 chain. 1, 2 and 3. You're going to turn your work, and you're going to be doing this little sort of, can you see how it's, we get this sort of little sort of, I don't know, can't think of it, a little bump all the way along it. That's what we're working on. So you've got your 3 chain and turn, and you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is there. You're going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into the next stitch. 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into your next stitch. 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into the next stitch, and our last one, 1, 2 and 3, and slip stitch into that last one. So let's have a look. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, which is what we have. So let's fasten that off. Wouldn't matter if you had 6, if you've got an extra stitch or something like that, because obviously it can be, they can all be different, can't they? So we have our little top knotty bit there. That's really not the technical word for it, is it? I know they call it a comb, don't they, on a chicken, but I'm not sure, because parrots aren't always like that. Sometimes they're more fluffy, aren't they? So the next one we need to do is our wings. Now the wings I've done in 2 colours just to give it a little bit more interest. So this is like a little circle, and then I added the little blue bit on. So we're still working with the yellow yarn. Now this is just a little amigurumi circle. There is no more to it than that. So 2 chain, 6 double crochets into the first one. We've done this dozens of times, haven't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Yeah, we're now going to do 2 double crochets into each of those 6. So we're going to have 1, pull a bit of yarn out, 2, 3, that's 4, 5, and our last one with 2 in it is 6. Right, so just tightening that up, I'm going to do my slip stitch, of course, nearly forgot, and I'm going to fasten it off. Now this bit of yarn here you're going to need for sewing onto the body, so keep it nice and long. So that bit we do need, definitely. This bit we need to get rid of, so I'm going to sew it in now. Look, see, I've even got a nail stuck on here because of the stuff we've been doing. Can't wait to get things back on the shelves because it's absolute bedlam, and I don't like it when it's messy. I find I can't work as well when it's too messy. I know crafters on average are messy, and I am when I'm working, but I like to make it tidy afterwards. So we're just going to thread that one through a few times, and we can trim it off. Get rid of that bit of yarn. So that's the bit for sewing on, so we do need that there, but we're going to add on our blue bit now. So I'm going to put my needle back and find the end of my blue. That is, what have I done with it? Ta-da! Oh, knocked the camera. Apologies for that. Terrible for that, aren't I? Right, well, I haven't got a clue where this yarn starts, so I'm going to be really naughty and I'm going to cut it because I only need a tiny bit anyway. So, on my hand, now that's the top where I'm going to start sewing, and I need to pick up, let me just double check what I did because I did change this. I can't remember whether I did 4 or 5 now. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to be picking up 4 stitches along here. So I think about there is a good start point. Now that's the right side facing me. So I'm going to pick it up, do that chain and do that double crochet in, which, as I say, anchors it. Then we're going to have 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so that is the start of this. I'm going to do 1 chain. I'm going to turn the work. I'm going to miss this first one, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to do a chain. I'm going to turn. I'm going to miss this first one. Then I'm going to do 2 double crochets. You'll see it's slowly decreasing. Yep, I'm going to do a chain. I'm going to turn, miss the first one, and 1 double crochet. And I've done. That is our little wing completed. Again, a few little bits and bobs to sew in, but we'll do that in a moment or two. So that is our first wing. I'm not going to do 2 wings with you. You don't need to see me do 2 wings here. You don't want to see me do 2 wings. I know you don't. So you're just repeating what I've just done. So the last bit that's actual crochet is the little tail at the back. And you see? So we're going to do that now in the blue. But obviously you're going to be doing whatever colours you want to do. So slip knot again onto our hook, and I'm going to do the 2 chain that I always start with, 1, 2, and then into this first one I'm just going to do 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, you're now going to do 1 chain, and like we sort of did with the tip part, we're then going to turn our work. And then we're going to do, just double checking what I've done, we've got a DC row. So remember there was 3 stitches there, wasn't there? So 1, 2 and 3. Because they're rows now, not rounds. So tighten that up. We're now going to be turning it and making these little bumps similar to what we did on the head here. So I'm going to do 4 though, 4 chain, 3 and 4, then turn the work. I find it easier to do that. And I'm just going to go straight into that base one there, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into my next one. I'm going to do 4 chain, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and slip stitch back into the same one. Slip stitch into the next one. You can do a double crochet if you really don't like slip stitches. 4 chain and slip stitch back into its own stitch. But I actually did double crochets on this one, and you can see the difference. That is quite much more defined because I did slip stitches. That's why I decided to change it. As I said, this is like, I found the word, it's a prototype, isn't it? The first one's always a prototype, and that is where I find out whether things are going wrong and things like that. So I've altered that, so the pattern will state slip stitches, not double crochets, because I think that sticks out much better. So I'm going to move some of the yarns out of the way. I'm going to put my hook down a second. Now again, just for you guys, I'm going to just shove these in, so you don't need to watch me sew those ends in, but you do need to make sure you sew them in. I'm hoping that's not going to sort of stuff too much now. It's a bit long there. Let's get rid of some of that, because otherwise it's going to look like he's stuffed and not be able to get the egg in it. But don't do it too short that you can't sew the ends in properly, because that's always a nightmare. You get a little tiny bit and you're trying to sew the end in and it's really not good. So let's shove our egg in. Oh, poor little guy. There we go. So he's in position now, and we can decide what we want to do first. I think I'm going to go with his little headpiece first. You don't need one of these, so that's the longer one, so I'm going to keep it. I will get rid of the shorter one. By putting the headpiece on, it sort of centralises his body. He went a bit lopsided with the first one I did, bless him. So we're just going to sort of thread this through. We need to make sure it's not going anywhere, so I'm going to thread it back the other way. find it harder to sew in when it's rows rather than rounds. I'm always worried about it coming undone. So I can get rid of that bit. So we've got the little head piece there, and we can thread it up and stitch it on. And all I did, I kept it on the egg while I did this. So I decided roughly, so obviously it's got to be sort of like in between where his feet are. So I positioned it, held it there, and then I just literally picked up a piece of the yarn. I find sewing onto the sort of item, whether it be the chocolate orange or whether it be the egg or the Ferrero Rocher, sometimes works better. Sometimes you do have to take it off. It's like when I do the eyes and things like that. I can't do that still on. But you can see how it just holds it in place for me rather than it sort of flopping about. I think this one's going to have a bit of a quiff going off. And I can fasten it off. Now make sure it's central before I decide 100% fasten off. And how I'm going to do it is I would just push it through and then literally sort of run it along the crochet inside and then fasten it off, but we will do that later. He's going to have so many bits inside him at this rate. So we now have here, oh, excuse me, we have feet, we have little headpiece there. It's sticking up a bit there just purely because I've stuffed the yarn in it. It shouldn't be doing that. Tail, should we pop the tail on next? That's an easy one. So again, we need the long bit here at the point is for our sewing on, and we can just get rid of this other bit and just thread it through. Now there is a right and a wrong side. It doesn't really make much difference, but that is going to be my right side. This is my wrong side, so that is the side I'm going to thread the yarn through. There's not much to actually thread through. That's the only problem when it's a small piece. But you do need to make sure it's going to be nice and solid and it's not going to go anywhere. So thread it through a few times. I think I'm sort of losing my voice, to be honest, because this is the third video I've done today. And I think that's probably what it is. My throat's got a bit dry. So let's get rid of that. Let's grab the bit for sewing onto his body. Oh, that's not very good. I hate it when the yarn. It's because I like to use quite a sharp needle, but it means the eye is a lot smaller, so it doesn't always go through. You have to be careful. There we go. So again, the tail is sort of like in between the feet at the back, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit like that. Make sure it's the right way round. I want it that way. And then I'm going to pick up a bit of the green and a bit of the blue. A bit of the green and a bit of the blue. You don't need many. It's only a couple of stitches on this one. Perhaps we've done with a longer piece of yarn there. Right, I'm just going to pause this because I'm going to have to clear my throat. Bear with me. I think that's a bit better. Like I say, every now and again it just does it. It's getting better, but I think it's left me with sort of, I don't know, a little irritation. So I'm just going to fasten that off now. And again, with the rest, I'm going to ultimately thread it through. So I'm going to take the egg out. Can you see? I'm going to put it there. So all the sewing in, or the sewing up, or threading through is going to be on the inside. So we can push his tail in like that. So that is the tail in position. You keep sewing your ends in as you go. It makes it much easier and much neater. Now, as far as the wing is concerned, we're nearly there. We don't need this bit and we don't need this bit. We only need the long yellow bit to sew his wing into place. So I'm going to decide that is my top. So I'm just going to push that through there, turn it over, and then do my threading through. I only want to thread through on the blue though. I don't want it to go onto my yellow. Just looking, I've not looked how long this video's taken. I think it's taken a little bit longer than I anticipated. And fasten off. First bit of blue out the way. And then the second piece of blue. If you wanted to do just a little round wing, you don't have to add this bit on. I just thought it'd be nice to have two colours on. That's why I did it, really. threading through. When you thread through this bit, that's a bit tight there we go, don't pull this bit too tight, because otherwise it changes the shape. So do it nice and gentle there, because otherwise it pulls it in here, and we don't want to pull it in there. Oh, it is a little bit tight, this one, to go through. I think it's, I've already pulled it out now, haven't I? What am I like? I think it's because we've already threaded through the other piece, because it's only a small area to be threading through. So take your time, make sure we get it right. Even if I have to do it bit at a time. There we go, I'll go that way. Nope, still having a fight. Oh, we've done it, yay. That's the blue gone. No more blue now. So let's get this yellow part of the wing actually stitched onto the body. Now, it's up to you which order you stitch all this on. It's just trying to get that central point, that's all. So if I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, oh, wing there, you know, the beak's obviously got to go in the middle. So I'm going to sort of approximately place that there. I'm happy with that. And I actually stitched it on all the way around the top part of the yellow. Get both parts of the sewing for this one, because I wanted it to sit relatively flat, and now I'm going to have to sort of run it through because it started at the top, didn't it? So perhaps not a good idea, no man. And then I need to sew this front bit down. Maybe one more stitch, that will do me, and then we're going to fasten off. And like I've done with every other part, then pop the egg out, push it through, sew it all in on the inside, and then snip it off. Obviously I just keep shoving all these ends. I'm not going to need an egg in a minute. There's going to be so many sort of ends in there. So you can see how the little wing sits. So I've left that bit flappy, and I've just sewn around this bit. So obviously we need a wing for the other side, and we need his little beak into place. Now, one way you can do this is we can take it off the egg, although I've got so many bits on the inside now, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. I do recommend you sew your ends in as you go, not like I'm doing. So I've got to decide where I want his beak. It's obviously got to be approximately centre, I'd like to think. You see all the bits have come out now. So that has given me a central point by just using that insidey bit. I've got so many ends to sew in. I've got so many ends to sew in because I've been doing some granny squares. Because when I've done my shelves, I want like a bunting, a granny square bunting. I'm going to pop the egg back inside now because it's in position. And that will help when I'm trying to stitch his little beak in place. Okay, so let's pick a central point there at the bottom. And now I can just sew all the way around into place. Perhaps I shouldn't have threaded that through, but I think it'll work. There we go. I'm pulling it towards my body again. I do apologise for that, but when I'm sewing in, especially when it's something I'm really concentrating on, I find it easier to pull it towards me. And then obviously the video's not that, the camera, should I say, is not that close to my body. Almost there. Now, I don't know whether you've noticed, but as I'm stitching this in, sometimes I'll pick up just one part of the stitch and sometimes both. At this point, I'm picking up both parts of the stitch. And that is it for me. Fastening off time. And again, I would, I'm going to turn him inside out. It's going to be just full of yarn into it. And I would thread that through and then sew it in. So you can see how we've got this little sort of little parrot shape there. And then sewing on these little bead eyes. But if you, as I say, if it's for a younger person, I don't recommend beads. I would recommend embroidery details. Let's just turn him inside out just to see. You see, if I'd sewn my ends in as I went, I wouldn't have all these now. But I'm not going to put you through the suffering of me sewing all those ends in. We've sewn the various body parts on. You would obviously continue to do the wing on the other side, a pop little eye detail on, and then you would have your little, shall we call him an Easter parrot? I don't know. You can have your little parrot to give as a little gift and hopefully make somebody smile. I think they usually make people smile no matter what sort of characters they are. I think people just like the fun of having a little gift in there as well. I mean, I'm not sure what size plastic eggs, but again, if it's somebody who doesn't like chocolate or doesn't do chocolate, you can get those little plastic eggs, can't you? And perhaps you could fill them with jellies or just a little gift, a surprise gift. That'd be really nice, piece of jewellery perhaps, or something like that. So you can use them for all sorts of applications. So that is all I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you there for you to sort of play about sewing all your ends in. And that's all I'm going to do for today. I've got loads, as I say, coming up, things I'm trying to think of and things I've got to do. So bit by bit, I'm catching up. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your patience, obviously, as I've not done a bit of crochet for a while. Hope you will like, share, and if you've not already subscribed, it'd be lovely to see you subscribing, and I will see you very soon with more crochet and more Easter themed things. I have a few different ideas for these cream eggs. So we've got some Easter bits, and I've also got maybe some chocolate orange ideas. So I will see you very soon with that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye for now.